Hi creatives, greetings from my end, Dimma here, and on today's tutorial I'll be sharing with you how to make this bustier dress with a slightly full mermaid seal hues or outline. I have hip padding here and I also have pleats on this dress. You can see the hip padding obviously, and I know you will want to know how I made all this, but in this tutorial I'll be sharing with you the whole pattern making process, but in the next I'll be sharing with you the sewing tutorial because it's quite a long one. You can see the puff sleeve here. I'll share with you how I made this puff sleeve, how I made the pleats to be steady and beautiful, as you can see. So let's start from scratch and make this beautiful dress. So to make this dress, I will be starting with the shoulder measurement. Okay, if your shoulder measurement is 16, you just divide it by 2 and that will give you 8. You just mark. That is what I just did. I marked it at 2 points, just as shown, and I'll be drawing a vertical line along the shoulder line, just as you can see me do. Now, the next thing I am going ahead to do is just to mark the bust measurement. Bust measurement divided by 4, then you go ahead and mark. If your bust is 40, divided by 4 will give 10. So just mark 10 inches, okay, at 2 or 3 points, and then rule vertical line using your ruler, just as you can see me do. Now the next I am going to take right now is the half length. Half length for the front for my client is 17¾ Feel free to use your half length or that of your client to mark this, okay, as it's not the same for everybody. So I am ruling a horizontal line along there as well. So after that, the next thing I'm going to do is to mark the neck. I marked basic neck 3 by 3 and I am going ahead to use my pattern master to draw the neck outline. Now, having done that, you can see what I have. I'll go ahead and do the shoulder slope. Just slope the shoulder by 1 inch and connect these to the neck. That is what I did here, and yeah, I'm going ahead to mark the across chest. Mark the across chest and measure your across chest along this line, or you go in by 3/4 inch from that across chest mark in, okay? Now the next is to draw the armhole. Now to draw the armhole, you have to measure the armhole like this. Half of the armhole measurement. Armhole measurement is measured around the upper part of the arm, okay? Anything you get, you add 2 inches to it. So you draw your armhole curve, just as you can see me do. I'll link in the description box how to make a basic to sew foundation, just in case you need it to understand anything further, okay? So right here, I am going ahead to mark the bust level and also the bust to bust, okay? That will give me the bust points, okay? So right here on the waist, I marked the bust to bust as well, and I took 1/2 inch on both sides. I'm dropping here by 1, and I'm also making sure it's at the bust to bust level. Now this 1 inch drop I dropped from the bust point, I am connecting my dart to that point, okay? So having done that, I'm marking the under bust. Now under bust is from bust point 3 inches down or 3¼ inches down, or better still, you just measure your client's under bust measurement. That is from the side of the neck to the under bust. So right now I'm connecting this to the bust point, okay? After marking my bust tightening, here is 3/4 inch to the bust point, the other part is 1/4 inch, making a total of 1 inch, okay? So here I am going ahead to connect this to the waistline, just as you can see me do. Good. I connected it to the under bust tightening, okay? So having done this, I will go ahead to measure and complete the darts. I measured 5½ inches down and ensured it's also at the bust to bust point, and I connected my darts to that point to complete the dart measurement, okay? Now having done that, I will just go ahead and make the marking clearer. So here I marked 1/4 inch and here I tightened by 3/4 inch, okay? I'm just making the line clearer, that is all, okay? Under bust tightening towards the center front is 1/4 and towards the side front is 3/4. So the rest I'm doing here is just to make the lines more visible. That is all. And that is the armhole. And that is the neckline that I'm drawing more clearly. Do well to subscribe, guys, and turn on your notification bell because you will not want to miss the second part of this tutorial, which will cover hip padding, puff sleeve, how to make beautiful pleats, and much more that you will not want to miss. Here I marked the hip level, which is 8.5 inches from the waist, and I am taking the hip measurement. Hip measurement is hip divided by 4. Anything you get is what you're going to mark here, just like the bust. Okay, mark it, and then you use your hip curve, or your pattern master can still do that, and connect the waist. Now this is the waist measurement divided by 4 plus that intake. That is what I marked here, and I will go ahead and connect this to the bust line and also connect the second part to the hip line. That is just what I did here. Now the next thing to do is just to go ahead and get the knee level, the knee line, okay? And then I'm measuring the hip level, hip measurement divided by 4, of course. Whatever you get, I'm going to remove 2 inches from it because that is what I'm going to be marking on the knee line, okay? Knee line is exactly 18.5 inches for my client from the waistline, okay? That is the level of this knee line. 18.5 inches from the waist. Now I'm connecting this to the hip. I hope you understand. I'm just making the lines more visible. Okay, feel free to use the level that is good for your client, but most times it's between 18, and if the person is so tall, it will be around 19 from the waistline. So right now I am trying to carve out the yoke. I'm drawing pattern for the yoke, and I dropped there by 4.5 inches. You can use 5 inches as well, it's fine. My client doesn't want it to be exposed, and that is why I used 4.5 inches. So I marked a line like that, drew a horizontal line along that part, and I'll be connecting this to the shoulder line. So watch closely to see how I connected this to the shoulder line. So that is it. You can see obviously the design of the yoke on this pattern clearly. At this point I was thinking, okay, maybe it's too wide, I will come in further, but yeah, here I just came down by 1 inch, and by the side neck I had to go in by 1/2 inch, and I'm redrawing the neckline. Now the reason for this is so that the yoke will not be so much on your client's neck, if that makes sense, okay, so that your clients will not be uncomfortable. But if it's a turtleneck, of course you can go on with that, but I just feel like it's better your client is quite comfortable in her dress. So right now I'm marking a point here, but I'm just first cleaning the line that I do not want there. That is one of the lines I drew for the yoke. I didn't want that again. I just liked the first line I drew. So here I'm making a point to do the overpost tightening. I made a point and I marked 1/2 inch on both sides of that point, and I'm connecting to the bust point, just as you can see me do. So I'm using my pattern master to connect this, just as you have seen, and I am going ahead to make the side bust dart. The side bust dart, and I'm marking a dart which is about 1/3 inches, the difference between the front and the back half length. Okay, so and I'm connecting these to the bust point. So I'm just here shedding the dart so that I will know where it's going off. Of course I know, just for shedding sake, to make it visible. Okay, so having done that, the next thing I'm going to go ahead and do is the back. I've drawn the back neckline, and there I have 1 inch dropping and 3 inches this other way, and here I'm marking the shoulder line. I didn't know it wasn't showing very much around that center back. I'm very sorry about that. So here I marked the shoulder line and I'm drawing a vertical line along the shoulder line. Just shoulder measurement divided by 2, you just mark it. All right, so here is the bust measurement divided by 4. You just take your marking just as we did for the front pattern, just the same. So here I will mark it, and I will go ahead and draw a vertical line as well along this part. Okay, so that is what I have here, and yeah. Now the next thing to do is to draw the back half length. Now the back half length is 1/3 inches less than the front half length, and that is what I am marking. It is 16 inches. You know, the front is 17/3, the back is 16, and that is what I just marked. And I'll go ahead and do the shoulder slope, which is 1 inch, and I will connect to the neckline, just as you can see. So the next I'm going to do is to get the across back level, which is 5 inches, and then I will come in by 1/2 inch here along the across back, and I will go ahead to draw the armhole. Yeah, the armhole. So I will measure the armhole measurement divided by 2. Armhole is usually around the upper arm plus 2 inches. That is how to measure your armhole. Check the link and you will see, check the description box to see the link to a basic tussle foundation, just in case you are not clear with anything I did here. So I have gone ahead to draw the armhole, and that is what I have. So, and that is the bust vertical line that I just drew more clearly. So here I'm just measuring the waistline. Note that the waistline is waist measurement divided by 4 plus that intake. Okay, so here I'm taking this measurement from the back tightening. My back tightening there is 3/4 inch. From the back tightening, I took the waist measurement divided by 4 plus that intake. I hope that makes sense. Now I'm connecting the back tightening along the center back. Sorry, it's not clear here for some reason. I didn't know it wasn't showing. That's just it. So here I have the hip level, and that is 8.5 inches from the waistline, and I'll be marking my hip here. That is the hip of my client. Hip divided by 4, hip circumference divided by 4. Anything you have, you're going to mark it there, here. Okay, so I will connect this to the waistline just as you can see me do. You can also use your hip curve to do that. Now you can see how I'm connecting the back tightening to also the hip level. Okay, so that is what we have for this. The next is just to go ahead and measure the knee. Okay, I'm done with the back tightening shaping and also the side hip line, and taking the knee line, which is 18.5 from the waist. Okay, you just rule a horizontal line there, and I'll be connecting this to the hip. I'll take 1 inch here and I'll connect to the hip. You know, for the front, I took 2 inches by the side of the knee. Okay, here that 2 inches, I'll take 1 at this center back and 1 at the side back. For the front, I took 2 for the side front knee. Okay, but for this one, I took 1 inch in at the side back and 1 inch in at the center back knee level. Okay, and connect this to the hip line. I hope that makes sense. So having done that, this is what I have, and I will just go ahead and label whatever I am supposed to label. Of course, the back pattern is as good as finished. It doesn't have a yoke. It just has a half length cutting, which you will see. So here I've gone in by 1/2 inch by the side neck of that, back, just to rhyme it with what we have in front. Okay, so, and I'm cutting it out. Sorry, it's not showing clearly here, and I didn't know that. So here I'm cutting out the back pattern. I'm cutting out the whole back pattern so that you see what the final pattern looks like. And here is what we have. You can see the back pattern and you can see the front. So I'll go ahead and dissect this pattern. Okay, I'll dissect it and start cutting it. I'll start from the bodice, that is the upper part of this pattern, and after that I am going to go to the skirts and modify it. So here is the fabric. I have 6 yards here. I just cut out about 1 yard and started with that. Okay, I just cut out 1 yard, but I have 6 yards of this fabric, and virtually everything, you know, it was remaining like half yard at the end of this project. So here is the yoke. I've cut it out. I'll keep it aside till when I will need it. So I'll go ahead and cut this front pattern along the half length. So when I cut it, I will keep the skirt aside as well and go ahead and dissect the upper parts of this front. I'll first cut out the center front, just as you can see me do, and after that I will cut out the side fronts. So I'm removing all the tightenings and the darts, the overbust tightening, and here is the side bust that I'll be sticking it like this. I'll cover the side bust darts, I'll close it up like so, and use my masking tape to tape it down. So that is what I have. I will also place it and pin it down so that it doesn't move as I cut this. So this is what I have for this side, for this side pattern, side front pattern. Okay, I'll go ahead and cut this out. You can see that what I'm using to cut it out is about ½ inch. Is ½ inch, yeah, that's what I'm using for the whole of this. And for this side front, I am using ½ inch every other place except the side where I used about 1½ inches. So I'll go ahead and put marks where I'll be putting notches, bust points on the bust, seam allowances and all that. So here is the bust points, and I have the on the bust. I'm putting the notches now, and I will go ahead and put the notch for the seam allowance, the side seam allowance. Okay, I'm putting for the bust point here, and I will also put a notch for the on the busts. So this is the center, and I'm putting for the seam allowance by the side. So this is what I have for the center front. I'm just marking to know where the front and the back of this fabric is, because it's very hard to know. So having done that, I'll go ahead and cut this also along the half length, and I'll keep the back skirt aside as I cut the back pattern bodice. Okay, back bodice pattern. So I'll go ahead and cut this back bodice pattern, and I'll be marking the zip allowance and the seam allowances, okay, and notch it as well. This makes sewing quite easy. Even without further measurements, you're going to couple this dress with perfect fit, if you understand what I mean. So I'm just marking the reverse or the wrong side of this fabric because it's quite difficult to know. The front and the back almost looks the same. So now this is the mesh, and I have folded it once and I'll fold it again. Okay, I'll folded it once. I'm just trying to keep everything nicely the way it's supposed to be, and I'll go ahead and fold it again. Yeah, so I'll be cutting the yoke. The front yoke is made with nude mesh, so I've gone ahead to cut it. I'll cut the neckline and the shoulder line. So this is what I have for the front yoke, and you will watch me put this in the next tutorial, because this tutorial is mainly the pattern making tutorial. I cannot put the sewing tutorial here, it will be too long. So the next will be the whole sewing tutorial, and there I treated a whole lot: the pleats, how to join this mesh. This is how I'm going to join it on the neck before I apply it, the hip padding, the pleats on it, the puff sleeve. This tutorial is loaded, trust me, and you will not want to miss it. So here is me trying to make the mermaid skirt. It's not so full. it has a slightly full outline. Okay, so that is what I did. The upper part is obviously the pattern that we made from the pattern we made earlier, and this lower part I joined it to make up the length of the skirt. Okay, so I'm drawing a slash line along the middle of this lower part and I am slashing through the line. Okay, so when you are slashing this, be careful not to slash your fabric, or better still, you slash it before you place it on the fabric. So you can see how I spread it. This one is by choice. If you want it to be fuller, you can spread it more than you can see me do. I think I spread it by about 8 inches or thereabouts at the lowest part of this paper. I spread it by about 8 inches. Okay, so feel free to spread this as much as you want or as little as you want. Okay, so right now I have gone ahead to do this, and I'll pin this down. I'll also cut the lower part. You can see this is the front part of the dress. I'll go ahead and cut it out. Here I am cutting the lower part. After pinning, I cut it out. I cut the side of the skirt with about 1.5 inches seam allowance. 1.5 inches seam allowance. And this is what I have. This is the front pattern, and I will go ahead to notch it. I will also notch the knee line to know where the knee is. And that is it for the front. I will go ahead and fold the fabric again and place for the back. So this is how I place the pattern, the back pattern with the lower part. You can see how I spread the back pattern. Okay, this is how I spread it. Go ahead and do yours like this, and then you cut it out. Spread as much as you want. Spread as much as you want. It's by choice, okay? But I didn't spread mine so much. The front I used about 8 inches spread. This back I used about 12 to 13 inches spread at this middle spreading. Okay, so feel free to do you. If you want it fuller, you can add more. If you want it smaller, you can reduce it. It's by choice. You can see the lower part. I didn't know it wasn't showing when I was cutting it. I'm really sorry about that, but what you can see there is exactly what it is. I notched the hip line towards the hip. I did that so that I will know where the center back is, the hip line towards the hip. I used it to also know where the center back is. I didn't put that notch by the side back, yes, the side skirt. I put this at the center so that I'll know where the center back skirt is. Note that is a tip. So here is the patterns. I've applied interfacing, hairstay and wadding to the side front, and you can see the back. I applied hairstay. I applied gum stay to the neckline, and also wadding and hairstay to this one. I will be applying gum stay to that neckline of center front, and also to this one, the side front. I'll be applying gum stay as well to it. You can see the skirt part of this pattern. This is so beautiful. You can see that I made full lining for it, but there will be a shorter lining that will carry the hip padding. Trust me, you will not want to miss the next tutorial. It is loaded. There you will see how I applied the hip padding. You will see the pleats, you see the puff sleeve, and much more. How I applied the yoke, the embellishment, that is the trimmings I used, and much more. It will be loaded. I can't put all in this tutorial because it's going to be too long. It's already long, so that's why I did not put it. You can see the whole process of putting this beautiful dress together is all treated in that next tutorial. Trust me, you will want to see it. This is the puff sleeve that I have here. Do well to subscribe and turn on your notification bell to be the first to know once I upload my videos, and you will not regret it. Ask your questions in the comments, like, and also feel free to react to this video. Love you all guys, and I will see you in my next one. Bye.